Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Logan Show. It's brought to you by Miranda Homes. More home for less money. You can check them out at mirandahomes.com. Mike, the first thing I want to ask you about, and boy, from the emailers this morning, everybody's ready to. It's crazy. They've given up. The season's over. Let's move on and get hockey going here after one loss. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about was the offense. You got a much more trained eye in the X's and O's of football than I do. It didn't look a whole lot different than what we had last year. Am I right on that? And how much of that is because you don't have your number one running back, you lose two offensive linemen in the game, and you're sort of forced to do things that maybe you weren't really planning on?
I think the biggest factor that they had in the running game was losing the two offensive linemen. You come in and through training camp, you try to establish that continuity between linemen. And we didn't know what the line was going to be coming into this season because they had so much inexperience on there. We wanted DeCastro to come in as a first-round pick and play. We didn't know what Adams brought to the table. And when you have injuries on that offensive line and you try to bring those guys together, throw in the fact that you don't have your starting running back in there, there's going to be some problems. So the running game, I expected to have a little bit of problems, maybe not as much as they had, but compound that with you had a new offensive coordinator in here who wants to do things one way. We don't know really what he's trying to establish. And you have a quarterback who's going to be the quarterback that he is. He's going to try to make plays with his arms and with his legs. So that's going to take away from the run game. I do think they have to get that established if they want to have a good season.
You talk about the continuity of the offensive line. I've always thought the offensive line and secondary on defense are the two. Everybody's got to operate together, but they're the two groups that really rely on each other and have to operate. And you can't be on an island playing free safety. You can't be on an island playing right guard. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. In the secondary, Ryan Clark was the quarterback of their secondary, and we're not making excuses. The Denver Broncos are a good football team. Let's not forget that Peyton Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback. We weren't sure how he was going to respond to the injuries, but he responded well. And Peyton Manning is going to be Peyton Manning. He came out. He's an intellectual player who's able to figure out where the blitz is coming from, gets rid of the ball quick. Back to what you were talking about, the continuity of the offensive line and the guys in the secondary, you have to have it. It's a must. And I know that the Pittsburgh Steelers over the past couple of years were able to get away with it by mixing and matching some of the guys in there and having some success just on raw talent. But you need to have that. Guys who are making those calls. Marquise Pouncey, as the center, has to relay those calls down the line. And if guys aren't in there, there's a little hesitancy about what their job is. You got Willie Colon in a different position. He has to get used to doing that and pulling from that guard spot. So they have to have that. It's not only just a physical thing. They have to have a mental thing together. And they're missing that right now. And it's going to take some time for them to just plug in through practice, get together. And I think we'll start to see better results after that.
Athletes always tell guys in the media that they always, for the most part, put out a positive front. They don't let on when things are bothering them. Case in point, Pirate locker room yesterday after another devastating loss. Garrett Jones says, "We're still confident. We're still in it." I mean, he was practically whispering. He looked like his dog just got run over by a truck, but he's telling us that they're still in it. How much of a letdown do you think there was after you have the ball almost the entire third quarter, you get a field goal, Denver has the ball for 36 seconds and gets a touchdown in much the similar way that they ended your season in the playoffs? That there had to be a letdown there, even though guys say, that didn't bother them.
Well, as a player, we're never going to let the media know how we feel. You have to give that perception that everything is fine and you could come out and just forget that and put it to the side. It deflates you. It definitely deflates you to go down there and hold the ball for 9 minutes, put together, extensive drive and come away with 3 points. Any coach will tell you that's deflating. You want to get touchdowns when you hold the ball that long. Then you give the ball over to the Denver Broncos. They throw one pass, 36 seconds, guy goes down to score. It's the guy who beat you last year. And even though you try to put that behind you and say, we weren't thinking about that, it's reminiscent to what happened to you last year in the playoff game.
Him and Ike were drawn from the first snap of the game. That was because of what happened last January.
Exactly. So you can't tell me. That's proof to show you right there that Ike Taylor was thinking about that last play that happened in the playoff game. And then to come out and have that happen again really deflated him. It deflated you as a fan because you went back to that same play that happened last year, even though it was a different quarterback. It was Peyton Manning this year. It took you back, and it took something out of that secondary.
I thought it was the biggest play of the game. What went wrong on it? I know it looked like Ryan Mundy was blocked by an offensive lineman downfield. Troy got sealed off. Describe it and what happened.
It was just execution on the Denver Broncos side of the ball. I mean, they came out Peyton Manning talked about they had set up a similar formation earlier in the game in the first half, and they had ran the ball out of it. This time they were just trying to throw a little screen. He said he thought they might get 8 or 9 yards out of it, and they ended up going the whole way for a touchdown. But it was just execution on their side. Troy Polamalu came in. He tries to make those darting, diving plays. They were able to get him. Ryan got sealed out. It was just executed perfectly, and they were able to get the score out of it.
Your overall thoughts about the team for the year, did they change much with this one game?
I think the mentality changed a little bit, but this is where the veteran leadership comes in and says, hey, it's not panic time. And some of those guys that, departed from this team, your James Ferriers, your Aaron Smiths, those guys were the guys that bring it together. Now you have to have new leaders step up and say, hey, listen, we have 15 regular season games left. This is one game. It is deflating to go out and lose your opener. But, hey, they were on the road. They had a lot of starters that weren't in this game. And you just say, not to make excuses, but we have a better team than that, and we'll come out and play better as this season goes along.
Mike Logan's with us each and every week. The Mike Logan Show brought to you by Miranda Homes. More home for less money. Check them out at mirandahomes.com.